Today, we're going to unpack and try to understand the key differentiator between a mediocre manager and a phenomenal leader. See, researcher Daniel Goleman had this exact same question when he was trying to understand what makes the most effective CEOs and leaders. Daniel went on this journey to be able to try and study a few different competency models, a few different models around leadership and around management. He studied about 188 different companies and what they were doing and their leaders. And he found 3 different areas in which to assess these leaders. Area number 1 was around technical skills, their ability to do certain parts of the job and their ability to actually have the technical capacity in order to make it happen. So let's just write this down. So number 1 is technical skills, right? So number 1 is technical skills. Number 2 was around intellectual and cognitive abilities. So really IQ, your ability to think logically and theoretically and think at a high level and then go get a granular level also. So number 2 is cognitive skills, so your IQ. And number 3 for Daniel was around emotional intelligence, your ability to understand other people, your ability to be self-aware, and your ability to connect at that level. So when he looked at all 3, and they did a study of all the different leaders in 188 different companies, they found that your intellect and your cognitive ability was actually extremely important. It was the ability to think at a strategic level, to set direction, to see the high-level vision, and it was extremely important to the job. But what was interesting is that when they set up a ratio of importance between technical skills, intellectual abilities, and emotional intelligence, they found that emotional intelligence was 2 times as important in their ability to produce results and actually improve the company. And so when we look at these 3 buckets, we realize that emotional intelligence right over here is 2 times more important, and perhaps the skill that most of us as managers need to focus on to be able to become leaders, to get to that level that we want to be. So the question is, what is emotional intelligence? What is it? How do I understand it? And I feel like I'm emotionally intelligent. I get my emotions, but how do I actually develop this skill? Well, emotional intelligence has actually 5 parts that Daniel Goleman takes us through. So let's try and understand these 5 parts. Right? So he has a nice little acronym that we can actually use, and it's called MESS. But MESS with 3 S's. The first part of emotional intelligence is motivation. And it's really about self-motivation. Our ability to self-motivate ourselves, to get up in the morning, to push ourselves, to be curious enough to want to work on different skills. See, leaders have to be self-motivated. We understand around motivation is that external motivation only works for so long, but once our needs are met, it really is that internal drive that takes us to the next level. And so, how is your internal self-motivation? Is that something that you need to work on? Number 2 is around empathy. Empathy is our ability to feel other people's feelings. It's our ability to connect to someone else who's going through a difficult situation, a problem, or is experiencing even happiness, and able to feel that for them and with them. That ability is extremely important in our ability to develop our emotional intelligence. Number 3 is around self-awareness. Now, self-awareness is about understanding our own emotions, understanding our own skill sets, understanding the way we like to communicate, the way we like to be communicated to, the way we like to work. It really is understanding how we best operate and how we can be our best self. So self-awareness. And a lot of times to be able to develop self-awareness, I know a lot of teams do different personality tests or workplace tests. It really is about doing more than just understanding and doing one of these tests, but taking a deep dive in understanding how they show and how they reflect in your own world. Number 4, that is about self-regulation. See, See, self-regulation is really interesting because self-regulation comes a bit after self-awareness. It comes in your ability to adapt yourself and regulate yourself to the situation at hand. You know, a good example here is if someone on your team totally butchers a presentation in front of a really important client. A leader without self-regulation would get upset, would get mad in the moment, and would possibly even belittle their teammate because of the poor situation that happened. But someone with really strong emotional intelligence and especially self-regulation are able to hold themselves back, calm themselves down, and have an effective coaching conversation with that individual that can help point out what didn't work and how they can improve the next one. And number 5, this one is usually the fun one that a lot of extroverted, outgoing leaders seem to have fairly easily, but we have to understand it from an emotional intelligence perspective. It's social ability. It's our ability to be in groups. It's our ability to make friends, our ability to bring people together, make them feel like they belong, and really have a good, strong social circle. This social ability really ties a lot of them in. Because in order for us to have a really strong group of people who want to follow you as a leader and as a manager, to have a really good team, you need to have the empathy. You need to have the self-drive in order to push yourself and grow and learn these skills. You need to have the self-awareness of who you are and where you want to be, and the self-regulation to adapt yourself to each individual. So understand around emotional intelligence is that it's best learned in a one-on-one coaching perspective. We can teach it through these videos, we teach it through a lot of training, but it really works when you tell your team that you're working on your emotional intelligence and choosing one of the 5 and really focusing on it. Either focusing on your self-awareness or focusing on your self-regulation and that one piece that you want to improve on, and thinking about where it shows up in your day-to-day and how you can take it to the next level. Because the difference between being a mediocre manager and a phenomenal leader, a leader who we refer to as unicorn leaders, is about developing our emotional intelligence.